We are back, baby. We just found out in the news within the last few days that Salt Lake City was just awarded the 2034 Winter Olympics. And you should subscribe to this channel because I'm going to tell you everything that you're going to want to know about the Olympics coming back to Salt Lake City, the impact it's going to have on the local residents, what it's going to do to the economy over the next 10 years. And at the very end, I'm going to talk a little bit about how this is potentially going to affect the real estate market. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video. My name is Scott. This is the Living in Salt Lake City, Utah channel, where we talk about everything involving Salt Lake City, what it's like to eat, sleep, and breathe here in the local area, and what you can expect if you're thinking about relocating or moving to the Salt Lake City region. Now, if you have specific questions, make sure to reach out to us. My contact information is below. You can call us, shoot us a text or an email. Would love to help you make that smooth move to Salt Lake City. Okay, we're gonna walk through a couple articles today that recently came out with the big news that Salt Lake City is getting the Winter Olympics back. Now, if you're watching this right now, we currently have the Summer Olympics going on in Paris. So it's gonna be interesting to see the current, culture and everyone watching the Olympics. And then they break the news that Salt Lake City is getting the Winter Olympics in 2034. Now, if you're paying attention to the history, this is the second time that Salt Lake City has actually hosted the Winter Olympics. If you remember back in 2002, Salt Lake City hosted the Winter Olympics, and now here we are in 10 years, they are going to host it again. So I'm gonna walk through a couple of articles to give you some more details of what you should know. What skiers need to know about the 2034 Olympics. Now, whether you are into skiing or not, this will affect the local economy. So I think it's important to walk through articles like this. It's gonna be the second time that the Utah capital has hosted the Winter Olympics in the 21st century, and just the fifth time ever that the United States has hosted the Winter Olympics. The bid's major selling point was its popularity. Now here's what's crazy. 80% of Utahns and 100% of the state's politicians supported the Winter Olympics return. That's a pretty big majority. So basically almost everyone who's in a decision-making authority wanted Salt Lake City to host the Olympics again. All competition venues already exist and have regularly hosted international competitions for the past 22 years. That's probably pretty important that these venues already exist. Sure, they're gonna have to do some more infrastructure building and maybe create more opportunities for the Olympics, but the fact that they already have a baseline definitely gave Salt Lake City a leg up in getting this bid. Major upgrades to the Salt Lake City International Airport, including a brand new terminal, also factored in. Of course, that makes sense. You're gonna have people moving here from all over, not just the country, but all over the world. So it's important that you have the infrastructure in place to host just all of the athletes and the fans and the coaches and the sponsors, everyone who's going to be in the local area. So having an international airport that could actually facilitate all of that travel to the local area, definitely important. It is also a chance to extend the legacy that started with the 2002 Olympic Games. That legacy includes youth sports programs helping to grow winter sports and producing Olympic and Paralympic hopefuls. The article goes on to say that a planned $260 million legacy budget is tied to the 2034 Games, which will continue support for community sports programs in the state of Utah. This will certainly have an impact on the local sports culture in Utah. To have Olympic athletes and be able to go and watch them even in person is definitely going to influence, I think, the youth and younger population getting into some of those winter activities. The 2002 Olympic legacy has helped more than just local Utahns, though. Athletes from over 30 countries regularly train at the competition venues built by the 2002 Olympic Games. So because we had the 2002 Olympic Games, we're sort of building on that legacy here in 2034, where it put Salt Lake City on the map. We have awesome skiing and snowboarding facilities, and all those Winter Olympic athletes now come and train in this local area, which again brings popularity to the local area, helps local economy, and continues to show just how awesome Salt Lake City is. The 13 competition venues are all within 1 hour of the single athlete village, which will be located at the University of Utah. I think that's also really important and probably a reason why they chose Salt Lake City. It's important to have all these different venues within a relatively short drive, really to facilitate and coordinate all the moving parts that's going to occur when the Olympics actually kick off. With the IOC approving the 2034 Salt Lake City Olympic Winter Games a decade in advance, the economic boom to the region could be significant. Here is what's crazy. An economic study estimates that the games will bring $6.6 billion to the region over the next 10 years,
while the games itself are predicted to cost $2.83 billion. That's billion with a B. So you're talking $6.6 billion worth of revenue that's going to be generated over the next 10 years. So it's not just what's going to occur in 2034, it's all of the lead up to those Olympic Games. And because it puts Salt Lake City on the map on an international stage, you can imagine just how much money is going to flow through Salt Lake City. So if you thought Salt Lake City was growing quickly in recent years, just stand by on what's going to happen over the next decade. And later in this video, I'm going to talk about what impact that could have on the real estate market. Ski resorts that will host the 2034 Olympic events are the same as in 2002. While no developments at the resorts are directly related to the 2034 games, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall acknowledged that the city will undoubtedly look different a decade from now. I think that's also important to consider. Yes, we have these resorts and yes, we have these facilities put in place, but you better believe that between now and 10 years from now, there's going to be massive changes that potentially could affect local taxes. It could affect local laws. Maybe even the liquor laws will change in the future as we get closer and closer to the 2034 Winter Olympics. Once again, Deer Valley will host freestyle aerials and moguls. Snow Basin will have all of the alpine and para-alpine skiing events. And Park City Resort will be home to the freestyle skiing and snowboard halfpipe and slopestyle. Snowboard parallel racing, skier cross, and snowboard cross will be held at the Utah Olympic Park in Park City. All that came from the skimagazine.com article. Now I'm going to switch over to USA Today and show you on a more macro scale of what's going on with these Olympics. This USA Today article says that the Salt Lake Games will use 12 existing venues, only 4 of which will require additional and permanent upgrades before 2034. The only temporary venue that will need to be built is for snowboard big air. As for the big ticket items, the University of Utah's campus is expected to double as the Olympic Village during the games, and the Delta Center, which you know to be the home of the Utah Jazz, will host one of the Winter Olympics marquee sports, figure skating. Skiing events will be held at Snow Basin Resort, about 35 minutes northeast of downtown Salt Lake City, and snowboarding events will be in Park City. And in case you're curious where the other Olympic events will be held between now and 2034, it looks like in 2026, the Winter Olympics will be held in Milan, Italy. The 2028 Summer Olympics will be in Los Angeles. 2030 Winter Olympics in the French Alps, the 2034 Summer Olympics in Australia, and then boom, 2034, Salt Lake City is hosting the Winter Olympics for the second time. Pretty cool. Now, there's no doubt that the 2002 Winter Olympics really put Salt Lake City on the map. A lot of people had heard of Salt Lake City, but no one had really considered living there or relocating there. After the 2002 Olympics, and I think a lot of local residents would agree, not only did you have a big boost in economy, where you had a lot of infrastructure being built, you had a lot of commercial and downtown space development, really to facilitate just the large population coming in during the Olympics and the aftermath, right? Now you have all these extra facilities built where you have Olympic athletes coming to train here now year round, but you also realized on a national global scale just how awesome Salt Lake City is. I think what you're going to see is over the next 10 years, Salt Lake City is going to be put on the map again, and I think you're going to see a large increase in population as not only people that are into those ski resort activities, snowboarding, skiing, of course, our world-renowned resorts already attract those type of people, but I think you're also going to see a lot of people that aren't necessarily into those winter activities want to move to Salt Lake City because you're going to have so much exposure in the media. Now, what will that do to real estate prices? I think most people would probably agree that chances are the more popularity Salt Lake City gains in the 10 years leading up to the Olympics and the Olympics itself, you're gonna have more and more people living here, but we still have a very limited amount of land to develop more houses. So when you have limited supply and demand that will increase a ton over the next decade, it's likely you're gonna see prices increase even more in Salt Lake City. So I say this for people that are even remotely interested in buying or selling real estate. You definitely want to consider the long-term impact to the housing market right now, right? You have a 10-year head start on potentially buying a home and seeing that appreciation over time. And yes, this is a real estate channel, but even from a local's perspective,
you have to understand that putting Salt Lake City back on the map could have big cultural impacts as well, right? Are you going to see a loosening of liquor laws in order to generate more revenue for the city? That's certainly a possibility and probably something we'll see come out in the news in the future. I would definitely pay attention to events like this that come out in the news, because it's most certainly going to have a big economic impact on the local area. Maybe you'll start to see more businesses want to move to Salt Lake City as it becomes more popular. Maybe we'll see more growth in areas like Lehigh and Utah County and the Silicon Slopes. Maybe you'll see more development downtown. You'll see those gentrification areas really come to life. And perhaps you'll see a lot of the older buildings get renovated just to host the amount of people that are going to move here. Perhaps you'll see new restaurants and businesses pop up in the local area. Maybe you'll see a growth to the ski resorts as it becomes necessary for more and more people visiting the area. And what's going to happen to the traffic, right? What's going to happen with the gondola project for Little Cottonwood Canyon? I think it's important as a local or someone considering moving to Utah, paying attention to these big muscle movement economic policies that could come into play. So we'll keep you updated as this develops, but definitely big news. I think most people would agree this is only going to help the local economy, which is already booming. And the real estate market in particular, you'll probably see an impact as well. With that being said, if you have an opinion, comment below if you think this will help or hurt people looking to buy or sell real estate by the year 2034. And again, if you have questions, make sure to reach out to us. My contact information is in the description below. Would love to help you if you're thinking about making that purchase now to see that appreciation growth between now and the 2034 Winter Olympics.